Good evening, everyone, and welcome live to the World Racing Network for tonight's broadcast of the TNR Grand National Series, sponsored by Schue Lawn Service. We are playoff racing once again here at Darlington Raceway, one of, in my opinion, the most difficult tracks, if not the most difficult track on the schedule. Me and Garrett are going to talk all about that here tonight before we get into things. And tonight's race is the Tabletop Trio presents the Boston Hot Sauce Festival 155 at Darlington. Got that race name down right before we went live. Garrett heard me have to read it off again. But Garrett, like I was saying, Darlington, I always thought when I was racing that there was no oval track more difficult than this one.
Mitchell, you're certainly not selling this place short. The lady in black, I was talking to drivers in practice, listening on the scanner, and these guys are having fits out there, and it's not even a race session where you have guys running alongside you. They're loose on cold tires. The wall's sneaking up on them. They are having all sorts of issues. It's going to make for an incredible race, buddy.
Yeah, tonight's race is certainly going to be an interesting one, and we have playoff points to talk about because, as always, when we get into this postseason point, Garrett, only 3 races left in this 2023 season. It really feels like it's flown by. I'll pull up the graphic here we've got that shows you just how close this points battle is. Philip Scott leading after last week. But the big thing to note, I think, you look down at the top 7, all within 30 points of each other. Garrett, that's just one bad race, and that's going to plummet you down the playoff standing. So every single race in this short playoffs we have, so important to perform, and we saw that from drivers like Philip Scott, Bill Edwards last week. JD Laird, now in 3rd, your points leader, didn't quite have the race he wanted, got into some trouble, and he's sitting 15 points back of your leader.
Mitchell, it's all about the law of averages here. If you can average something like a 5th place finish, every other person's averaging an 8th place finish, you're going to become the champion at the end of this thing. Guys like Philip Scott and Bill Edwards, like you said, they put themselves in that position by having a good first race last week. Now, tonight, they just have to capitalize and not make those mistakes again. Let everyone else make those mistakes and then score as many points as you possibly can. Especially at a place like Darlington, Mitchell, I think it's going to be key to keep your car clean and finish all the laps tonight.
And the key there, too, is consistency. Like, you look at drivers like Bob Giaquinto, DJ Weeks, Vincent Valvano. Those guys, 4 through 6, no wins this season. But Bob Giaquinto, we've talked about him a lot here lately, about just how consistent he's been all season. And he's 16 points away from a championship right now. Consistency really does matter when you get to this point in the season. And this is probably the most difficult track to be consistent at. It is so difficult to execute and hit your marks here for so long. And we're going to see here pretty shortly, drivers going to start qualifying in just a minute. Currently, the fastest in practice is Tristan Thuggy Maher here in the 17. Tristan not in the playoffs, but last week it was a non-playoff driver who won that race, Chuck Sweeting. In just his 2nd start, picked up the win last week at Texas's. There you see, Garrett, just a little bit slick off of 2, and that would have been almost race done for Tristan just there. That is how little margin for error you have at this racetrack.
You're on the razor's edge here at Darlington, lap after lap. 90 laps tonight. You won't be comfortable for any of them if you're out there. And just to go back to last week, we had Chuck Sweeting win the race and take home the bridesmaid challenge, courtesy of Jake Bustos. Same thing tonight. You beat all these chase guys, Jake will send you $5 in credits, and plus we have our paint scheme contest for our best scheme. So even if you're not a chase driver, there's a reason to show up, race, and try to take home the checkered flag here at Darlington.
Yeah, I've got to touch on that too. Tonight is the 90s throwback here at Darlington. Let's see if I can find a driver who's running a throwback paint scheme. Let's see. Jason got one going on? I don't think so.
Yeah, Jurassic Park.
Oh,
yeah.
Yes, Jurassic Park. So there's one. Let's see who else. Bustos? No. Let's see. This looks like something here for Johnny Eckert. I guess I should have looked through what everyone was thrown back to before we got this thing started. But We will do our best to highlight throughout the night some of these throwback paint schemes like you see Jason Gracias has here. And out in the chat, I think, let's say about halfway through this race, that'll give us some time to look through the field. We're going to ask you guys out in the chat to cast your vote who has the best throwback paint scheme here tonight. And I believe that will be a $10 prize to the winner courtesy of Tabletop Trio. So there's a lot at stake tonight, even outside the playoffs. We've got quite a bit going on here. And Darlington, always a fantastic race. Lorello gets a little loose up into the wall. And that's just what we're going to see all night long. It's going to be really interesting, especially for these playoff drivers as you see practice coming to an end. How they work their way through the field, how they manage traffic, because this track is so difficult to pass on. I think we're going to see a lot of drivers out to qualify pretty quick here.
Yeah, I usually say qualifying doesn't matter all that much, but this place is deceiving as far as how narrow it is. You don't want to take a chance, and especially as cold as these tires are and how much of a struggle these guys are having in practice on cold tires. Start up front on pole and just drive away from everyone. Here's a guy, Chuck Sweeting, who's absolutely capable of that, driving a SpongeBob 1990s throwback. That's pretty cool. I don't know, Mitchell, I think SpongeBob was still on when you were a kid.
Yes, it was, but I never really watched it. But it was on. I just had a weird childhood, I guess you could say. We're going to go on board here on the gyro cam, take a lap around here with Chuck Sweeting, and you'll see just how difficult this place is and how narrow this track is once you're actually in the race car. And the groove, you float all the way out to the wall, then cut back down. You use both the high and low lanes to get around this place, so when you're too wide with someone, all of a sudden it becomes very difficult to get around. You see in 3 and 4, 2 all the way up by the wall, and bit of a wiggle, good catch by Chuck Sweeting out of turn 4, but that's just what makes this racetrack so difficult, is you're running all the way down on that dotted white line, all the way up by the wall through the middle of the corner, and again, duck low off the corner. Darlington, one of the most technical racetracks, one of the most treacherous racetracks. And again, in tonight's Boston Hot Sauce Festival 155, presented by Tabletop Trio, we're going to see who comes out on top. Currently, fastest driver in qualifying is this 46 of J.D. Laird. I spoke just too soon. Tristan Maher just got the top time from Laird. A 29.804. That's almost a 10th faster than Chuck Sweeting, who runs in second. Johnny Eckert just takes the second place away. Everybody's coming to an end. Here's a throwback for Philip Scott. Pretty accustomed to seeing Philip in the blue, so it's going to be a little weird to see that World Ninja League machine in anything but his typical blue paint scheme. Here's a great one. Great throwback here for Shane Ewing. That paint scheme right there, that's a part of a very classic finish here at Darlington. I think almost everybody's seen that one. Kurt Busch and Ricky Craven.
Yeah, we'd love to see a finish like that tonight, Mitchell. Those guys coming off of 4 to 32, bumping and banging against, I don't know, let's pick something. Let's say the 17 of Tristan Maher. Just, we would love to see that here on the World Racing Network, and I think these guys here in the Total Nonstop Racing League, the Schue Lawn Service GNS series, are capable of putting on that type of finish. Mike Floppy Tellier's on the track here with a Sailor Moon 90s throwback. I mean, it doesn't have to be a paint scheme from the 90s. It just has to be something that was popular in the 90s. So Mike's about the same age as me and our low to mid 30s. I'm not going to age everybody being ageist here, but that was part of growing up. Pokemon type guy, maybe some wrestling, Stone Cold Steve Austin, but hey, to each his own.
I think one of the coolest throwbacks I've seen was a New World Order paint scheme. I'm pretty sure it might have been Johnny Williams who did that at one point. I'm trying to remember, but that was a pretty cool throwback to see in another league at Darlington, or it might have been here too. I don't even know. This is the 97 machine. That is DJ Weeks up toward the top of the playoff standings. A very classic looking race car for DJ Weeks. Try to see who's on the side of that one. Looking out in the chat too, Will Radcliffe loves the intro. Thank you, Will. Appreciate it. Johnny Williams, good luck all, and hello to the booth. Hello, Johnny. The Windsor's saying good luck, Bill, and Nicole Weghorst is saying hi to me. Jason Gracias out on the racetrack in the Jurassic Park throwback. Goes to second place on the speed charts. JD Laird on the racetrack now.
I feel like JD's been out there for 8 laps at this point, Mitchell. He must have hit the wall and was able to start over, perhaps. I'm pretty sure we saw him at the beginning of the session when the 75 was on the track as well.
That's what I was going to say. I think he's been pitting in because it shows him as only running 1 lap. I think he's been going into the pits and then coming back out of the pits. And iRacing doesn't quite know how to handle that. But that does wrap up qualifying here at Darlington. We're going to transition over to the race, give everyone some time to get gridded up so we can look at all these nice throwback paint schemes as we go through the grid. Again, tonight is the Boston Hot Sauce Festival 150 presented by Tabletop Trio. Tell you a little bit more about the Boston Hot Sauce Festival once we get going green here for this race. On the pole, that was Jason Gracias there for a second. Now he's gone. Now he's back in the Jurassic Park throwback scheme. Starting in third, Johnny Williams. Wondering if this blinking's actually on my end. That wouldn't be very good. Johnny Eckert starts in third. Philip Scott in fourth. Then it's the SpongeBob car here. 2 throwbacks make up this row. Chuck Sweeting on the inside. DJ Weeks on the outside. Then starting in 7th is James Lorello in the Elizabeth Lorello racing car. JD Laird rolls off from 8th place. Jamar Dumas, there's a throwback scheme. In the number 28, he starts 9th. And Mike Floppy Tellier, have to check back in on that throwback. And the Sailor Moon throwback starts in the 10th position. Then in 11th will be Shane Ewing in that Ricky Craven throwback. There's the Sailor Moon car for Mike Tellier. Jake Bustos rolls off in 12th. Vincent Valvano, Talkin' Giants, starts 13th. Bill Edwards, the last car to take a qualifying time, rolls off in 14th in another throwback paint scheme. Quite a few throwbacks here toward the rear end of the field. I think that's the best camera angle I'm going to get. That is Steven Doziak Jr., Bob Giaquinto, the Tabletop Trio machine. A nice Tabletop Trio throwback there. Jason Schue in the 3 Texas Roadhouse throwback. That is a good-looking car right there. Stephen Morgan, the Dunne Jewelers machine, rolls off 18th. Jimbo Casterline in the field here tonight, starting in 19th. And Johnny Williams rounds out the field in 20th. A big field here tonight for this race. And again, we'll take a look at the throwback schemes as the night goes on, because at the halfway point, so lap 45, we will ask all of you in the chat to cast your vote for the best throwback paint scheme. And that driver who wins the vote will get $10 courtesy of Tabletop Trio.
Mitchell, just looking through the field, I'm kind of partial to that Ricky Craven throwback that Shane Ewing has. I mean, we're at Darlington. That's the Darlington race car. Shane's a tremendous driver. He's going to be on our camera a lot tonight. I mean, that's my sentimental favorite. But if you have a favorite in the group, your drivers out there, make sure you speak loud and speak often so we count your vote.
I think he definitely got the theme right here at Darlington, like you said. I'm quite partial toward this Sailor Moon throwback here for Mike Tellier. I think that's an amazing looking race car. But of course, you all out in the chat get to decide who wins the throwback contest. And there is quite a selection to choose from here tonight. The 17 of Tristan Thuggy Maher going to lead the field out of turn 4. Pace car down, green flag in the air, and we are racing at Darlington. And a fantastic jump for both drivers on the front row. How will they sort it out into turn 1? Jason Gracias with the drive on the high line. He will take the race lead through turns 1 and 2. Maher, though, with the good run down the back straightaway. Johnny Eckert settles into third behind them. And you see the field single filing out really quickly because, again, very difficult to run double file here at Darlington end of the race.
Mitchell, one of us just lagged there. I lost you there, but we were talking about getting into single file, and especially with these veterans here in the Total Nonstop Racing League, you know your car's slick on cold tires. Get in line. It's a long race. Don't take a chance and destroy your car early and take yourself out of contention. That's something we see every week out of these guys. A good green flag run, the guys just being smart out there. And for Jason Gracias, this is rare. Starting up front and being able to take the lead and dictate his pace. He's usually starting at the back and having to work his way through and then gets up to the lead. This is different. I like to see that number 1 T-Rex Jurassic Park themed car out front.
Yeah, it's a great start to this race for sure for Jason Gracias. A little bit of pressure now being applied to Tristan Thuggy Maher in second place. Johnny Eckert getting a little bit closer. There's a look at Johnny Eckert's throwback scheme here tonight. It always bothers me when iRacing sticks cameras behind billboards, and Darlington is one of those tracks where they did that for the primary cameras. That's kind of annoying. Another throwback again behind him here is Philip Scott, the World Ninja League machine. That's another one I like quite a bit here for Philip Scott. And Chuck Sweeting in the SpongeBob throwback rounds out your top 5. We'll do a through the field here in a little bit, and again we'll highlight all these throwback paint schemes we have going on here tonight. Very pleased as a broadcaster, and you as well, I'm sure, as the league administrator. You love to see all the throwback paint schemes, drivers getting involved, and I think that goes to the fact of how many talented painters we have here in TNR.
We have a tremendous amount of talented painters in TNR and TNR alumni. Let me go back to Chris Darling over at Max Graphics, was a Total Nonstop Racing administrator back in the day, dear friend of mine. He does some tremendous work. I think he worked on Gracias' car. Bill Edwards, Fatal Concepts, his work is spectacular. I am impressed every time I see him post something. J.D. Laird, tremendous racer, tremendous designer. Johnny Williams, tremendous designer. Johnny's done a lot of work for me in the past. He's worked on real life race cars. He's awesome. Floppy. I mean, there are guys from front to back, and if I'm leaving anybody out, Philip Scott designed his own car. Like, there are so many guys in this league that are capable of not only racing like champions, but designing like absolute professionals, and it really stands out, especially like under the lights here at a place like Darlington that's so historic.
Yeah, we certainly love to see it. It's always fun, the throwback race. That's one we always look forward to as broadcasters. Lap 7 of 90, you're on board with Tristan Thuggy Maher as he runs in second place behind Jason Gracias. But you see, there's nowhere really to make this pass. He tries to cut it down off too, but then he gets a little bit tight, has to check up. The issue with Darlington, especially through 1 and 2, is there's really one line that drivers like to take through. It's hard to make a bunch of different lines work, especially with the track being so narrow. Here's a great run for Tristan Maher. These two got to work together here, and Gracias going to give that position to the 17. So your pole sitter moves back into first. He might have just gotten the wall there through 1 and 2. It was awfully close. New race leader Tristan Maher. And that was a perfect example of, he had the run, he got under Gracias, and Jason kind of gave him that position. This is a track where you really have to race with respect to those drivers around you, because if those two go in full power side by side, they could very well wreck right at the front of the field.
They could, and there is not much room to go, especially if these two cars end up blocking a portion of this racetrack. I mean, there is some runoff underneath, but cars will go back up towards the wall. But these two guys racing for the lead, they are teammates, they are friends, guys that communicate very well together. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if one of them came over the headset and say, hey, take it, or I'm going to take the pass here low, and they just work together. So now I'm curious to see when a non-team car gets up to Jason Gracias, if it's also the same deal, where he just kind of makes it simple and smart. I mean, Jason's a veteran racer. He knows how to save his equipment, save his tires. We talk about it every week, so we'll see now as we have a look to the inside.
Johnny Eckert gets around Jason Gracias for the second position. Philip Scott tried to follow, but that run was not there. Now J.D. Laird going to take a look at the 99 of Philip Scott. And that's nothing against the talent of the drivers either. All these drivers are talented, and Jason Gracias and Tristan Maher running 1-2. Now Gracias slips to third. You see NASCAR drivers in real life have trouble getting into the corner side by side here. It's just the nature of this racetrack and how difficult it is to drive. James Lorello, a solid run right now in 6th place. I remember once racing at Darlington against Lorello, and he schooled us, just pulled away from the field so early on. Another race, I was a little bit closer to him, almost beat him, but James just had me at the end of the race, couldn't make the pass on him. He's a driver from racing with him quite a bit. I feel like this is going to be a good race for him. James has always been solid at Darlington. And I've never beat him either, so maybe that's what makes me think he's so good. But he's always fast, but this is one of those tracks in particular I always went into expecting James Lorello to be very fast.
Yeah, James is a Total Nonstop Racing champion and somebody that is tremendously fast at every racetrack we go to, it seems. But just to show the depth and the talent we have at Total Nonstop Racing, where's Lorello right now? 6th place? I mean, we've seen, like you said, we've seen James run away from the field at a place like Darlington. Right now, J.D. Laird in front of him in 5th. It's not as easy for these guys as it used to be, and that just means everyone's getting better. We have new talent coming into the league. And the racing's not disappointing, Mitchell. I mean, these guys have to be having fun out there. Clean, pretty much pack. They're almost in a pack. Not that they're drafting like in a pack, but you get what I'm saying. Like, these guys are nose to tail, and mistakes could be made, but they're just not being made. And here's Gracias looking to come back on the inside.
Jason Gracias up the inside of Johnny Eckert. Also J.D. Laird to the outside of Philip Scott through turns 3 and 4. Both those drivers will hold their position. You had drivers trying to pass on the inside and the outside, but neither was able to get it done. Impressive driving by everyone there, keeping it going straight. And we continue green flag racing here. The 17 of Tristan Maher, we can't forget about him. He's broken out to a 1-second lead right now over Johnny Eckert in 2nd place. Maher right now seems to have better pace than anyone else on this long run. Now breaks to a 2.5 away at that last timing mark. Again, Gracias up the inside. This time they take it too wide in the corner. And you saw Jason decided, nope, don't want to do that. Checked up, let Johnny Eckert have the position. Gets the run back again down the back straightaway. So did Philip Scott. But this is not a track you can take it 3 wide. That never works out here at Darlington, very rarely. And now Jason Gracias almost completes the pass. Eckert hanging in on the outside, but there, Jason Gracias clears Eckert for 2nd. Now Philip Scott takes the look up the inside. A little bit tricky behind him. J.D. Laird slid up the track. Lorello into him. Laird around. No caution yet. Still sliding on the infield. No caution on the racetrack for J.D. Laird. Another week 2 in a row. It happened last week at Texas. J.D. Laird caught up in an incident. That one not the significant damage we saw last week at Texas, but he is going to lose all his track position.
Yeah, we'll have to take a look and see what happened here. We're only 2 laps away from our stage break, so if he's able to limp this around and stay on the lead lap, he'll be able to come to pit road and make some repairs. It doesn't look like you said, the race-ending damage like he had last week, but just 2 guys going 2 different speeds in the corner, and Lorello didn't get woed up enough. I think JD was watching the guys battling in front of him and probably took a little bit more of a conservative line and entry in there. James had more momentum than that. Let's see. So yeah, I don't know. That's what it looked like to me, Mitchell.
I'm going to go back farther on the straightaway because I thought maybe these 2 made contact right about here. Yes. JD checked up pretty early getting into the corner, and that threw him off his line because there was contact from Lorello. He got up the track, had to check up, and James went into the corner a little more aggressively, and around goes J.D. Laird as a result. Again, that's just a racing deal, guys. trying to get the same position, and maybe James didn't expect the checkup as they went too wide in front of him. But that is your stage break here tonight. Tristan Thuggy Maher picks up the stage win. Jason Gracias in second. Johnny Eckert here in the 90. He is in third place at the stage. Philip Scott in fourth. Last week's race winner, Chuck Sweeting, is fifth place. DJ Weeks in seventh. James Lorello eighth. And Bill Edwards Lorello was seventh. Bill Edwards is eighth, the last car to score stage points. And again, the stage points here, critical for guys like Philip Scott, Bill Edwards up at the top of the playoffs, the playoff point standings, and critical for J.D. Laird with that incident. He will not score stage points here tonight. And when you get down into the playoffs and every point counts, that could come back to bite later on.
Yeah, Mitchell, you miss out on the stage points, you're going to have to make them up somewhere else. And it's not the end of the world when you don't get those stage points, but it's good to have. It's just having like a little bit reserve money in the bank for if you do make a mistake later on. I expect all these guys to come to pit road right now, get 4 tires and get fuel, and we'll see if somebody could gain a spot or two on pit road, because lining up on this restart could be key into being able to make the pass and get yourself even further up as far as track position goes.
And we saw in the initial start of this race too, Jason Gracias started in second place on the outside lane, but he was able to overtake your pole sitter Tristan Maher with that outside lane. Do you expect whoever wins this race off pit road to take the outside after seeing that?
If they're smart, I would say that's the way to go, unless it's your teammate and you can work out a deal where, hey, I'm going to clear you and so on. But I think, yeah, absolutely, you're going to want the top here. So we'll see what Tristan looks like. He won the battle off the pit road. And we'll see if his long-run speed kind of balances out into the short-run speed here, and if you keep the lead after the restart.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It seemed like in that run, Jason Gracias fired off better, but about 10 laps in, that 17 car really came to life. Of course, now, we did have that incident with J.D. Laird and James Lorello that did not bring out a caution, but green flag through the first stage. You'll have to keep that in mind when strategizing for the rest of this race as well. Although I think it is time we talk a little bit about tonight's race sponsor before we get going green here. We'll pop up the logo for Tabletop Trio because they are the presenting sponsor of tonight's race. You can check them out. Twitch.tv/Tabletop Trio. That's linked in the video description below. And pull up Bob's car as well. That's not Bob, that's Jamar Dumas. There's the Tabletop Trio throwback. Their podcast, you can follow them on Twitch, talk about anything you can do on top of a table. It's a very entertaining podcast. Make sure to check them out. Follow Tabletop Trio. They are presenting the Boston Hot Sauce Festival 155. So a little bit of info about the Boston Hot Sauce Festival that Bob sent me before tonight's broadcast. This year is the second annual Boston Hot Sauce Festival. It returns Saturday and Sunday, April 29th and 30th, to Garage B at the Charles River Speedway. You can sample and take home some of your favorite hot sauces from some of the best hot sauce purveyors in the Northeast. Tickets are limited but available at bostonhotsaucefest.com. That also down in the video description. I took a look at the website here earlier today. There's quite a bit of hot sauce at the Hot Sauce Festival. I don't know what else I would expect. They had quite a bit to choose from, so if you were unlike me and you like hot sauce, make sure to check out the Boston Hot Sauce Festival if you are in the area. I myself have never been a hot sauce guy, but that's okay. No shame in it.
No shame at all, Mitchell. And if you get older, like some of us, and I'm not gonna make any comments about people's ages because I'm a new person. Remember last week?
That's right.
You get to the point where you have acid reflux and you wake up in the middle of the night and your throat's on fire and you feel like you're gonna die, and then you think maybe I shouldn't have had those hot wings. But the Boston Hot Sauce Festival, that sounds like an absolute blast, and it's like watching like Hot Ones. Like you don't have to actually eat the spicy stuff, Mitchell. We can just kind of watch people enjoy themselves. So if you're in the area, I encourage everyone to go support that event and support support our friends over at Tabletop because Bob and his buddies do a lot for this league as far as sponsorship and their time goes. As we're getting ready to go back green.
Yep, green flag gonna go back in the air to start the remainder of this race. Tristan Maher did take the outside lane. Jason Gracias on the inside in second. That time, though, Maher got out to a very good start. He will easily take the race lead. In second is Jason Gracias, and then I see out in the chat, where is Philip Scott? Here he is running in third position behind Maher and Gracias. Then in fourth, it's Johnny Eckert, and fifth is Chuck Sweeting. We've got a gaggle of cars back here. Side by side, James Lorello, Steven Doziak, they get it settled down. JD Laird, for the record, now runs in 18th position following that incident right at the end of the stage. He has got a lot of way to work to get back up in the top 5 where he was running. Of course, that incident, none of his doing, just kind of what happens around here at Darlington. You see Jake Bustos and Bob Giaquinto, they're trying to work in that lower line. We see drivers in real life kind of do that. I think Denny Hamlin runs that quite a bit. So does Kevin Harvick down in 3 and 4, where they go below that dotted white line to try and make it work. So there are different ways to get through here, but for the most part, pretty cut and dry. Battle for the race lead, pretty good. Tristan Maher, Jason Gracias, again back in stage 1. Gracias fired off much better, but after about 10 laps, that 17 came to life and pulled away by about a second and a half. So this is the time, if you're Jason Gracias, you want to try and pounce on Tristan in the race lead.
Yeah, get that track position, get that clean air to the nose of that number 1 Jurassic Park machine, because Tristan proved on that last run that he was able to check out, but Jason's not deterred at all. He's looking to make the move here on the low side, and we talked about how difficult that is. I expect these guys to race with respect, though, and there's certainly room for side-by-side if you have somebody like that, and they're putting on a show. But Philip Scott is like the predator now in third place. He's waiting to see who wins this battle, and he wants that track position as well. And then he's bringing all his friends with him, the 90 of Johnny Eckert, the 75 and Chuck Sweeting. Mitchell, this is absolute tremendous racing right now.
Great racing here, as always, by these TNR drivers. Jason Gracias takes the lead, and that was a situation you can't really check up into the corner and let Jason have it, because then you're side by side with Philip Scott if you're the 17 of Tristan Maher. So he kind of just had to check up, get into the corner, and Philip let him slide back down into line, I think. But now right back on the attack again through the middle of the corner. Got near the bumper of Gracias. Oh, got actually into the outside wall there out of turn 2. That opens the door for Philip Scott up the inside lane. Philip dives it in. Slide job up to the top. Completes it. Yes. That was a great move from Philip Scott to move himself into second position.
Mitchell, I wish you could see me right now. I have a huge smile on my face because that was an incredible move by Philip Scott in the 99, something we definitely know he's capable of. And it's weird to see the 17 struggling. He was so dominant in that first 20 laps of the race. So we'll see if Tristan can get his tires back under him and that long run speed come back to him here if we stay green. And it looks like that's a type of green flag race. I don't even see that many Darlington stripes out there.
No, and he got his on the exit of turn 2. That's not traditionally where you see that getting, although it does count. But yeah, surprised to see the 17 not fire off quite as well as we saw in that first stage. Slip back from the lead now to 4th place, and again in the middle of the corner, Maher gets up into the wall. That is the Darlington stripe we come to expect from this racetrack. And I wonder if he just didn't get his tires a little bit too hot trying to pressure Jason, and then he got into the outside wall, lost his momentum. Now starting to get it gathered back up again, but lost quite a bit of track position. That's not easy to get back here at Darlington.
Not easy at all, Mitchell. He's going to have to take some risks out there when the passing opportunity arises. So sorry to cut you off there. I thought you were ready for me to chime in there.
No, you chime in whenever you want to chime in. Perfectly fine with me. Was just going to point out, speaking of getting track position back, 46 of JD Laird moved from 18th to 12th so far since we restarted. That is pretty good progression. But as you can see, he's got quite the gap up to the cars in front of him. Pretty strung out here. on board with JD Laird as he tries and works his way up through the field. And the other thing here at Darlington, when you try and pass someone, you have to heat those tires up a lot. And so even once you complete the pass as he scrapes the wall, you're going to be struggling for a couple laps to cool those tires down before you can go make the run on whoever's in front of you. It's just a very difficult racetrack to pass at. Here is Jason Gracias being run down by Philip Scott right on his bumper through 1 and 2. Philip, these two have broken away about a second now. Tristan Maher got back into third around Johnny Eckert. We'll see if that 17 can reactivate that pace we saw in the first stage and run up to these two drivers. Impressive speed, though, from the 99 to Philip Scott.
Philip Scott using that former Exide Batteries World Ninja League Ford. It's running like it has a whole pack of Exide batteries extra in it. But he is flying out there. You can see the speed in that 99, like you said. And this is a track that I think suits Philip's driving style as much as any track out there. I don't remember Philip ever telling me this was one of his favorite places, but I wouldn't be shocked if it is, because it suits someone that drives as aggressively and is a wheelman like Philip Scott. But the veteran Jason Gracias is so smart out there. He's going to be a tough pass, but I expect Philip to be on him as long as it takes to get it done.
If memory is serving me right, when we broadcasted NSRA racing last year here on the World Racing Network, the Darlington race we broadcasted, these cars, Philip Scott won that race. So he knows how to get it done here at Darlington. I'm pretty sure he won that race. So this is a track I would definitely expect him to perform well at. And Philip, we've seen him excel at these technical racetracks. A great road racer, that always helps. When you come to a really technical racetrack where you have to use the brake pedal, why we see road racers tend to do better on short tracks and obviously road courses than anyone else, because they have that technical braking ability. And that is something Philip Scott using to his advantage here tonight. Jason Gracias, though, in command of the race lead. The 17 of Tristan Maher is slowly gaining time on these two. He is the fastest car on the track right now, but it's by fractions of a second here. So not too much of a gain. About 1 second back from 1.2 seconds back. So he is slowly but surely making his way there. We'll see as this run goes on if that 17 rebounds a little bit more.
Yeah, he's off to a good start as far as the rebound goes. It looked like that 17 was headed in the wrong direction, but he's slowly making his way closer to the front two. And the longer they kind of battle, and maybe Jason's driving in the mirror a little bit, watching Philip behind them, that's only going to play to Tristan's advantage. And just looking behind them, there's the whole pack of cars. Looks like it's led by Chuck Sweeting in the 75. And those guys too, I mean, that's giving JD an opportunity to kind of close in on that group. And you get to that point, though, you're going to want the yellow, I think, Mitchell. If you're JD, you pass maybe a couple more of these guys and then hope to get a yellow and bunch this field back up, because if not, it's going to be hard to recover as well as he would normally. But Chuck Sweeting, I mean, we're not used to seeing him back in traffic at all. His first couple races here in the Total Nonstop Racing League, he's been out front and dominant, but these guys are battling throughout the field, that's for sure.
Yeah, you have your top three have broken away, and then it's everyone pretty close together here. Johnny Eckert gets a little bit of a Darlington stripe in the turn. No, it said Jason Gracias went down the pits. He obviously didn't. I don't know why it said that. Oh, blinking, that is why. It's messing with me, but Sweeting got a good run there. Eckert in 5th place. There's that Ricky Craven throwback scheme right behind him. JD Laird. Wow, what a wiggle for Laird. Off of turn number 2. That opens the door for DJ Weeks. And again, the reminder that we do have the Bridesmaid Challenge in effect here. The highest finishing non-playoff driver, I do believe, wins $5. And if they win the race, $5 extra. But I believe it's Jason Gracias who is providing that extra bonus. So does he really get extra if he wins this race?
Well, he can do whatever he wants, Mitchell. He's an administrator, and I've set that tone since we were about 15 years old, starting the Total Nonstop Racing League. If you're an administrator, just do whatever you want. And Jason figures the best way to save money is just get out here and win this thing. But Looks like the battle's heating up for second place between Thuggy and Ninja Phil.
Yeah, Philip Scott slid back a little bit now from Jason Gracias, and Tristan Maher has caught up to him. Maher still reeling down your race leader, about 3/4 of a second back is where these two run now. And it is lap 45. This is when we decided we were going to vote on the best throwback paint scheme of the race. We're going to go through the field and point out all the throwback cars here tonight, so make sure to keep a lookout for these throwback paint schemes. We'll start with your race leader, Jason Gracias, the Jurassic Park throwback. And I should mention, too, that the best throwback voted by you, the chat, wins $10 courtesy of Tabletop Trio. So again, with that said, here's Jason Gracias in the throwback paint scheme. Philip Scott running in second place. Third place now as Maher gets by in the World Ninja League machine. That is a throwback paint scheme for Philip Scott. Chuck Sweeting in fourth place, the SpongeBob throwback. Nice looking race car for him. Johnny Eckert as well is in a throwback car here tonight with the Darlington stripe on the right side. Shane Ewing, the Ricky Craven throwback. Perfect for Darlington. Clean race car for him. Bill Edwards in the 5. That is a throwback paint scheme, running in 8th place now as the 97 of DJ Weeks, also in a throwback paint scheme, gets by him for position. James Lorello not throwing it back. Neither is JD Laird, but Mike Tellier is the Sailor Moon throwback scheme. Great looking car for him. A little Darlington stripe as well. No throwback for Bustos. Not one for Vincent Valvano. Steven Doziak Jr. Is this a throwback, Garrett? It's a different look for him, but I don't know if it is or not. I didn't think so. Just a different look to confuse the broadcaster, Darlington. It's all good, though. This is the throwback, I believe, for Jason Schue. Texas Roadhouse car. Bob Giaquinto also throwing it back here. And that's everybody on the track, so that's everyone that I can show you at the moment. Let's see if it'll let me put a camera on Jamar Dumas. It will. Here's a throwback for Jamar. And Johnny Williams is in the garage, so I cannot show his. But that was everyone. I hope you took notes. And now put in the chat, we'll keep it open for quite a bit, who you think has the best throwback paint scheme tonight. Not to introduce any kind of bias, Garrett, but just asking, who's your favorite throwback?
Well, my favorite throwback, as far as a person goes, is Bill. No, I'm not allowed to say that anymore. That's right. I'm not allowed to say that.
You changed. New leaf. New bit.
Yeah.
New Garrett.
I think I see that Wrangler, and everybody thinks of Dale Earnhardt, but I think of the Brett Favre commercials. You know, before he was allegedly stealing money from the Mississippi welfare system. But that's a tremendous throwback. And actually, if I was voting just for my preference as far as Dale Earnhardt and colors, I love my school's colors, blue and gold, so I would go with that. But like I said, I'm not going to change. Shane Ewing, it just makes sense to me. I like it all together, but Mitchell, you can't go wrong. So we'll pretty much see who has the most friends in the chat, and if we have a tie, we'll have to have somebody break the tie that didn't vote for these guys. But get your votes in. There's not too many people in the chat, maybe 13 people, so we'll see what the votes are, and then we'll go from there. And Mitchell, I don't want to be involved in breaking a tie, so we'll have to see, right?
Well, right now I do think it is tied. We've got 2 votes for Bill and 2 votes for Philip Scott.
Was that a pun? Tied? It's tied or tied?
A little unintentional wordplay here in the chat. So, you all currently have a tie. 2 votes for Bill Edwards in the 5. And then 2 votes for Philip Scott in the 99. Nobody giving any love to my favorite here tonight, Mike Tellier and the Sailor Moon paint scheme, but that's all right. Mike, you have my vote in spirit. I love that race car. There's one from Jackie going for the 32 of Shane Ewing, get tied on the board. Let's say we'll leave the chat open till lap 60. So text your friends if you want anybody to win and get them in here to vote. Support your favorite driver. And it would be good to break this tie here as well between Bill and Philip. Don't make us do it. Our Stay Tuned Sports helping us out. It's another vote for Bill Edwards. James Lorello down pit road. That's worth noting. While we're having all this fun with paint schemes, Tellier's also, I believe, been down pit road.
Got about time, I guess, Mitchell, to get those tires on. You have 3 sets. They've already used the set on lap 20. This is a 30-lap run or so, and I guess you're going to split this last stage. That would be my guess.
Here's battle for the race lead. Jason Gracias, Tristan Thuggy Maher. These two have been going at it all race long, and still the long run speed starting to show itself from Tristan Maher, but he's got to make the pass on old tires. That is where things get tricky.
Absolutely. That you couldn't really even expand on that. That was just, that's it. Like, it's as simple as you just said it.
Yeah, and right now, Jason Gracias continues to hold it off. He kind of guards that higher line. Oh, but he's into the wall. That opens the door low for Tristan Maher. Gets it throttled back up, though, and still hangs in on the outside lane, scraping the wall down the front straightaway, side by side, into turn number 1. Gracias on the outside, Maher on the inside, and Tristan will complete the pass. I was impressed for quite a bit there. Still am with Jason Gracias. He got into the wall multiple times and still almost held Tristan back. That was impressive driving. And now he's getting it slowed up to come down into pit lane. Philip Scott down pit road. Bill Edwards, Vincent Valvano down pit road as well. A lot of drivers now starting green flag pit stops with just over 30 laps to go.
Yeah, they're getting to that window, and old tires at Darlington, it's not fun out there. You get to the point where you feel like you're on ice, and these guys are coming to pit road, and there can't be much left of their tires at this point. But like you were talking about with used tires, and now guys out there on new tires, you run the risk of getting run over. And I think it's best for everyone, once you see those new tires out there, get to pit road as soon as possible, especially if you're in your window. I think they're pretty close on the fuel window, if not right there. So this might be the last stop for some of these guys if the tires will hold on, which we've seen a run obviously this long, so it would make sense, Mitchell.
Yeah, this run will be about the same as it was last time. So they should be good to the end pitting from now. And we've got 1 lap to go until we start counting votes as well, although I'm pretty generous. Might need to wait a little bit, but here comes Chuck Sweeting crossing the line, lap 60, so let's count the votes and see who won tonight's throwback paint scheme and will win $10 courtesy of Tabletop Trio. Again, a big thank you to Tabletop Trio, does a lot for us. Presenting sponsor of tonight's race, sponsors the Lucky Dog, and tonight sponsors the 90s Throwback Contest. All right. It's time to start counting. I guess I have to really put my brain to this.
Yeah, I'll talk right now, Mitchell.
Yeah,
if you
thank
want to
you.
real quick.
I appreciate it.
We're taking a look at Chuck Sweeting and the SpongeBob. You see how he used every inch of this racetrack up against the wall in the corners. And it's very peaceful out there with these guys spread out after green flag pit stops. And a lot of these guys that aren't running up maybe in the top 2 or 3, they want that yellow, but they want to make sure they aren't the yellow and they do not get trapped a lap down. So preferably you would make your pit stop, you would cycle back to the point where you're back on the lead lap or the first car 1 lap down, and then you would get the very timely yellow and be able to catch up and be on the same strategy as everyone else. I mean, that's kind of what you're hoping for, and I don't know if any of these guys towards the rear of the field saved a set of tires or anything, but that also could come into play very late in the race.
Yeah, we'll see. Get that late race caution. Tires play a big factor here at Darlington. We haven't talked a ton about that tonight, but this track, very abrasive on tires. The lap times have fallen off almost 2.5 seconds for some drivers from where we started this run. That is incredibly large fall off for just 30 laps.
Yeah, it's like, it's weird, Mitchell. It's almost like you have to teach yourself how to drive the track multiple times a race. Like, you drive on those fresh tires, you have all the speed, and then all of a sudden your braking point starts to change, and then you start losing grip, and you have to run a different line. And there's so much that these guys go through, and I mean, everybody's like, oh, you're just sitting and you're playing a game. Well, these things are as real can be. These guys are on edge every lap, and you could easily make that mistake and ruin your entire night just as easily as you could, you know, have a breath in your lungs. Like, it is that easy to make a mistake out there.
The 90 of Johnny Eckert is down pit road. That leaves the 32 of Shane Ewing in the tied throwback out on the racetrack. And Jake Bustos. These are the only two drivers who have yet to pit. But you see Bustos there working down to the apron. He will be down pit road this time. Maybe. No, I'm wrong. He had me tricked there. So Ewing and Bustos continue to stay out. And I might as well share, since I did tally the votes. I hope I can count right. You all can call me out if I didn't. But the results from tonight's Tabletop Trio 90s Throwback Paint Scheme Contest. And we had 5 cars receive votes here tonight. Honorable mentions go to this 32 of Shane Ewing in the Ricky Craven throwback. Honorable mention as well to Bob Giaquinto, the Tabletop Trio machine. That is a nice looking throwback. Second place was a tie between Philip Scott and the 5 of Bill Edwards. But the winner tonight, the 47, the Sailor Moon, Mike Floppy Tellier. With several last minute votes, Mike pulled ahead and won 3 over a tie, 2 votes for second.
Wow, good thing for Floppy getting all his buddies. I saw Matt Rod and those guys jumping in and stuffing the ballot box at the last second. There'll be people outside TNR headquarters tomorrow yelling, stop the count, or maybe count the votes. I'm not really sure which one, but they'll be chanting, so let's make sure we beef up security.
Yep, congratulations to Mike Floppy Tellier, winner of the 90s Throwback here in the Boston Hot Sauce Festival 155, presented by Tabletop Trio. He wins $10 courtesy of Tabletop Trio.
Congratulations, Mike. That's a heck of a good-looking Sailor Moon paint scheme. I just wish you were up running for the win. I mean, Mike's won a lot of races this year, having a tremendous season, both as a race car driver and as a league administrator. But man, this tide ride, maybe he could come side by side across the finish line against somebody just for nostalgia purposes.
Well, right now he is your race leader as Shane Ewing continues not to pit. He's been out on track 47 laps. Jake Bustos has been out 44 laps, running in second. They're at a point they've stayed out so long that Tristan Maher is going to be catching them here in a couple laps. He'll catch Jake Bustos in about 5 laps. I don't think they can stay out that long. But if they wanted to, and again, we don't know how big the fuel tank is, but credit to these guys, they're staying out, hoping there's a caution. Wouldn't it be something to see that 32 up running for the lead here at the end of this race?
It would be absolutely incredible, and Shane was a fantastic racer, and that'd be awesome to see him pull off a win. I know he hasn't run all the races this season. I know he intends to be here every week he's able to, and we certainly appreciate having him. Mitchell, just to go back to it, they have a 75% fuel load. I think the fuel window was somewhere around the 40 to 45 lap range. That's just a guess. I'm pretty sure, just based off a couple laps of practice, so they have to be right at the end, and they're just hoping for that timely yellow, because if not, they've lost so much time on these old tires.
Currently, yeah, they're 49 laps now for Shane Ewing, 47 for Jake Bustos, so they're very impressive stretching this fuel run out. I can't imagine they can stay out more than just a handful more laps. There goes Shane Ewing down the sharp entrance to pit road. He will go down and fill that car up with fuel and 4 fresh Goodyear tires, leaving just Jake Bustos on the racetrack. Bustos will pick up a valuable lap lead point here as he races in the playoffs. Get a little close with Jamar Dumas there into turn 1. We know he can probably go at least one more lap because that's how long Shane Ewing went. Dumas into the wall just in front of him. But so far, it's just really all season. It's just not been the season for doing this stay out and hope to catch a caution fuel strategy because we just run so many green flag laps here in TNR.
Yeah, how about this, Mitchell? At Darlington, the only yellow we've had is for the stage break, and we saw JD have that little incident with James Lorello on track, but other than that, it's been very clean, and you rarely see this at Darlington. Even in the best of leagues, guys just make mistakes. The track reaches out and grabs you. So, tremendous job by everyone, but here comes Jake down the pit road. And Mitchell, I like this, though. I like when guys change the strategy up and just try something different. Larry Mack always states the obvious on broadcast, but if if you're playing follow the leader, you're gonna just follow the leader. If you want to win the race, do something a little different. And these guys tried to catch that yellow, and it just didn't work out. But you can't fault them for trying. Especially Jake was at a points disadvantage after last week. Why not roll the dice, Mitchell? I mean, what do you have to lose? You're already last in the chase standings. You can't go further down.
No, I love the call from Jake Bustos and Shane Ewing to try and stretch that out. It didn't work for him, but eventually, if you do it, you're gonna catch it, and there will be a caution. You never know when that race is gonna be. 16 laps to go for race leader Tristan Thuggy Maher in the Boston Hot Sauce Festival 155, presented by Tabletop Trio. Maher holds a 3-second lead over Jason Gracias in second, Philip Scott right behind him in third. I have a feeling that this is going to be a pretty good battle here in the closing laps of this one. We've seen Philip have great pace on the short to middle run, and that is exactly what they're looking at to the end. Well, they've already been out 20 laps on tires. So I guess in my head they haven't been running as long as they have, but we're already kind of in that middle stage of the run. And that's kind of why Tristan Maher working through some lap traffic. This is probably where the 17, you might need a caution to catch him because he's just been so good in the later parts of the run.
Everybody's rooting for that yellow. Will we get it, Mitchell? It's not like Talladega in real NASCAR yesterday, getting the big one, and you're able to pick up the pieces. I mean, this is going to require somebody just getting either run over or a mistake that we haven't seen in these first 76, almost 77 laps out there. If you're Tristan and these guys running up front, I think you want to just go green, and you're just going to take your good finishes and move on. But there's a lot of guys out there that they're hoping they get that Clint Boyer itchy arm and end up spinning out and getting that yellow coming back to pit road and try one more time for roll the dice to get this win.
Back in. Battle for second place. Jason Gracias, Philip Scott. Bumper to bumper through turns 1 and 2. They've got lap traffic in front of them. That will play a factor, especially as they go side by side. Will Jason try and throw it up the middle? That would have been a very dangerous move. Had to check it up, and that lets Philip get right to the back bumper. Philip gonna shove him past Jamar Dumas. Philip Scott, 12 laps to go. It's time to get aggressive, and I think we're seeing that right now from driver of that World Ninja League 99.
Yeah, Philip's done riding behind the number one. If he could get there, I think he knows he has to get there because he's leading the championship, and that's another spot. Jason and Tristan ahead of him running partial schedules this year because of other commitments. So if you're Philip, you're in the best position of the chase guys, but you want as many spots as you can get, and I think he's going to force his way to that second position if he's able to. But we've seen it seems like those cars balance out, and Jason's able to pull away after a while.
Yeah, Jason seemed to have better long run earlier in the race. You just saw Johnny Eckert pass DJ Weeks for the 6th position on your screen. We come back to this battle between Gracias and Scott. And I think Philip's best chance is going to be catching up to lap traffic. And Jason having to check up like he just did. As you saw Philip close that gap right up, got to his back bumper. Just unfortunately, if you're a Philip Scott fan, he couldn't make anything of it there. But wow, look at the run through the middle of the corner there. Philip closed that gap right up on Jason Gracias. The one will pull a little bit on the back straightaway. But I think Philip's got pace. He's just got to sustain it over the next 10 laps, and we are going to see a great battle for second.
Yeah, is that 75? Is he the 4th place? Because
Yes.
if so, he's creeping himself right back up into this battle. So that increases the urgency in the 99 of the World Ninja League car of Philip Scott. So Chuck Sweeting's fast and he's coming. And like you're telling Jason, maybe you're working him over on the radio a little bit, saying, "Hey, come on, bud, I'm racing for a championship. I do the same for you. Will you let me have this?" And I think they're having fun right now. But if Philip starts getting frustrated, I wouldn't. Oh, they're. At least one of them's into the wall there. It looked like Jason.
Yeah, I think Jason got the wall through the middle of 3 and 4. Philip might have followed him up too. Not sure. You saw it on board with Chuck Sweeting there, though. Philip dives it hard into 1 and 2. Can he make it stick? I think he did. Couldn't tell from that angle. No, it was close, but Philip Scott is right there. And like you said, Chuck Sweeting inches closer and closer to these two. That 75 has great long run pace right now.
Can't lose track of the championship if you're Philip. These guys you're racing with are not running for this championship. Do not beat yourself over 3rd place or 2nd place if you're able to make the pass. Don't beat yourself. If you don't want to get alongside Jason and make this a close call, let Chuck go and do it and then follow him through. Be smart, Philip. If you can hear me right now, you are racing for a championship. Don't take yourself out of it as wow. That's close.
Yeah, he almost did just that. Got a very squirrely down the back straightaway. Was to the outside of Jason Gracias, but checks it up into 3 now, looking up the inside lane. Philip gonna look up the inside 1 and 2, not gonna get there. Still tries to fight back up the inside of 1 and 2. This is a great battle here with 6 laps to go. The battle for 2nd place. Again, to remind you, leader Tristan Maher has checked out now to a 5-second lead over this one of Jason Gracias. This is the battle for 2nd place. 3-car battle. Jason Gracias, Philip Scott, and Chuck Sweeting. Last week's winner, the 75. 3 starts in TNR this season. A 2nd, a 1st. Right now, a 4th, but he's looking to make it even better than that. 5 laps to go.
5 laps to go. I don't think that yellow's coming to save everyone, so this is probably the best battle and the battle we're going to watch till the finish here between 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Gracias, Scott, and Sweeting. Tristan Maher, though, what a tremendous way to come back up on the scene here. I believe he missed last week's race. He got a new job. He was at an Adam Sandler comedy event, and nobody's laughing now because he's dominating.
Yes, definitely is. And look at this. While we were watching Tristan Maher, the 75 of Sweeting got around Philip Scott. So move Chuck Sweeting now into 3rd. Can he run down Jason Gracias with just coming to 3 laps to go in the Boston Hot Sauce Festival 155? Sweeting seems to have very good long run speed. He ran down these two from about a 2nd or a 2.5 seconds back, and already through the middle of 1 and 2, he's close to the bumper of Gracias.
Yeah, it seems like Jason's just doing enough to stay in front of these guys, and even though the guys behind him looked like the 99 was faster, it looks like the 75 is faster, but being faster is one thing, making the pass is another, and Jason making a very rare mistake. Oh my goodness, Mitchell, there is a yellow out. We are going to have a green-white checker finish. I don't think this is obviously what Tristan wanted. This isn't what Philip wanted because of the points situation. Let's see what happened out there. And I think these guys will be the pit road for the last set of tires. I doubt anyone wants to chance it. So we'll queue up our World Racing Network replay here, and we'll watch the 13 of James Lorello and the 47 of Floppy, and nothing really there. And wow, was there magnets in those cars, or what happened there, Mitchell?
I'm not quite sure what to say about that one there, Gareth. That was definitely an interesting collision between James Lorello and Mike Tellier. In the middle of the straightaway is not where you normally expect to see 2 cars coming together. We'll go for another angle at it. Like you said, as a race leader with 2 laps to go, your worst nightmare is the caution when you have a 5-second lead, and that just happened to Tristan Maher. Yeah, I don't know quite what happened here between these two. I don't know if there was more to this story than we were seeing. I can't say.
Anything before that? Like, if you scroll back a little bit, as I
Take
could
a look.
talk and kill some time here, but that's a very bizarre like you said, on the straightaway, and I don't know if maybe one of them thought the other one was letting them go, and they just assumed to let go of the throttle and give them the spot up, or what happened. But that was one of the craziest wrecks I've seen, as far as just not making sense, and thinking about it just takes away from a green flag start to finish essentially here, and that's a shame really for Tristan Maher, and I hope things work out here, but we'll see. Pit stops.
Yeah, everyone came down pit road, and to answer that question, I went back 10 laps and I didn't see anything. Now, I was fast forwarding the whole time, but it just seemed like James Lorello had slowly run down Mike Tellier, got to him once about 5 laps before, but didn't see anything happen, fell back, caught up to him again there, and the result is that wreck. So that was definitely an interesting look at this, Garrett, the Ricky Craven. Shane Ewing, your race leader, did not pit. Wow, I love the strategy call.
Yeah, what do you have to lose, I guess? You're Shane, get some TV time in the Tide ride, and hope you don't spin the tires and you jump out ahead of these guys, and who knows what may happen. You get some chaos behind you, and you end up winning, and you make everybody look stupid for pitting. But I like that 17 where he's at. We'll see what lane the 32 chooses on the restart, but if Tristan can make quick work of him, I think he'll be able to win this thing.
Wasn't it Regan Smith at Darlington here in the Southern 500 who late in the race didn't pit, caught a bunch of cautions, and on old tires won the Southern 500? I'm pretty sure that happened back, I think, like 2011 maybe?
Furniture Row?
Yep.
Racing? Yeah.
Shane Ewing going to try and do the same here tonight. He's going to have fast cars behind him, but boy, either way, we are going to get to see that Tide Throwback Racing for the win here at Darlington. So our dreams did come true here, Garrett, as I believe they're going to get stacked up double file this time. And we've seen Shane with great speed all season long. Tonight hasn't really been his night, hasn't been up here. But here you go. We are in overtime. Only 3 races left in the season. He's not a playoff driver. So why not chance it and try and pick up a race win? Gonna take the inside. We haven't seen that work out well tonight, but you know what? Why not? Do whatever you can to try and throw these drivers off. This, if you were watching in the chat, buckle your seatbelts. This is about to be a phenomenal finish here at Darlington.
It's going to be crazy, and Tristan's getting lucky here, I think, with the outside, but I think he'll be able to clear the 32, especially on those old tires the 32's on. Jason Gracias might be at a disadvantage, and Philip Scott also being pinched in. But Chuck Sweeting in at 75, if he's able to get this inside lane cleared, he could set his sights in at 17. And Tristan really hasn't had to battle him tonight, so that should be exciting. We're getting ready for our first of 3 potential green white checker finishes here at Darlington. Tristan Maher on the outside. Shane Ewing is your leader in the Tide machine. Let's do it.
Ewing on 20-lap old tires in the inside lane. He's your race leader. Fires off. Fantastic start. Maher spins the tires. So does Gracias. Look at Shane Ewing. A massive jump on the front straightaway. He is out to the race lead. Now, can he hold them back for 2 laps? That is the question for the 32 of Ewing.
I want to see them bumping and banging across the finish line, Mitchell. This could happen. We talked about it.
Oh, they're wrecking. Gracias goes around in the back straightaway. Caution flag in the air. Philip Scott spins, Jake Bustos spins, and all of a sudden, we are going to do it all over again. That was the dream restart, though, for Shane Ewing. That could not have gone more perfect for him. I was so excited for Shane, but then all kinds of chaos broke out here in the middle of the pack. Let's take a look at it. So this is the restart. You've got Gracias on the inside. Philip works to the inside of him, and 3 wide at Darlington. Nope, that usually does not work, but it actually did sort of there, and then Philip thought he was clear out of the corner, was not. And then everyone just kind of piled into a spinning Jason Gracias, because there is absolutely nowhere to go on the exit of 2 when someone's wrecking. That is just how this track is.
I'm doubly frustrated. I'm frustrated for all the guys involved in that accident, including Philip Scott, who was set to have a tremendous points day by finishing in the top 3 or 4 there. I'm frustrated for Shane Ewing as well. Like you said, that was the restart of restarts. And if we had more time, I'd love to pull him in here and talk to him because he was so close to being able to take that white flag and just having to worry about the 17. But you're Shane. You proved you could do it once, and I think you take the bottom again and you try to do it again and hope for the best. But man, that was impressive by the 32 on that restart.
Let's see if I can get him in here. Not to, although honestly, I kind of don't want to mess with him because he is in a zone right now.
If this isn't one to go, we'll grab him, and I'll bite the bullet first. I'll talk to him.
Let's see. Are they on the back straightaway? Yes, they are. So, Garrett, take it away, Shane Ewing.
Shane, it's Garrett up in the booth. Just wanted to get a quick word. What a tremendous restart on old tires for you. We had guys on tires spinning behind you. You think you can do it again?
I think that was probably my best shot at it. We'll see, man.
Well,
if I don't get away, they're going to run over me, so I better, right?
yeah, I think you could definitely do it again, and no matter what, I want to see you bumping and banging across that start-finish line, even if it's yourself against the wall. Do that tide ride some justice, buddy.
All right, man. We'll see what we can do.
I'm committed to rooting for you now at this point, so good luck. We'll talk to you soon.
Thanks.
That was Shane Ewing, driver of the 32, Garrett. I know you and I both, as broadcasters, we're not biased, but it would be absolutely incredible to see that Tide car get the race win. Either way, just to have him up here. But like we had talked about, that was the ideal restart. You kind of heard me get excited there on that restart call. That could not have gone better for Shane Ewing. Now, everyone has seen that. They spun their tires. They know that might happen again. So the chances of getting that perfect restart are much lower, but, you know, anything can happen. It's Darlington. But you've got several players now also no longer up here. Jason Gracias, not up here. He wrecked. Philip, he's in 8th. He's still alive. Gracias is in the garage. I think those are the only two. You got Jason Schue, Bob Giaquinto. They're both laps down, but I don't think victims of that one. James Lorello in the garage from his incident as well. I also believe that a Tabletop Trio Lucky Dog Award is in store for Jake Bustos, maybe, possibly, not sure. I had it queued up for the last one.
Sure,
yeah, Jake Bustos, whether you are or not, congratulations. You are now the Tabletop Trio Lucky Dog Award winner under this caution. Believe we're getting double filed up. Yes, we are. Once again, Ewing takes the inside. Again, it worked for you last time. Why not try it again? The complexion changes a little bit now. It is now Chuck Sweeting behind Ewing in 3rd. And then Johnny Eckert. We have not talked a lot about Johnny Eckert here tonight. He is in the outside lane, starting right behind Tristan Maher. He's no stranger to winning this season. 3 wins to his name. Lower in the playoff standings, too. Texas not friendly to Eckert. He's looking to make up for it here tonight. But the pace car is about to pull off, and Shane Ewing on now 25 lap old tires to the rest of the field's 8 will lead us to green flag.
Yeah, Mitchell, they heard the excitement in your voice in the last restart because you know as a talented racer how difficult that was to have a start like that. So let's see if Shane can do it again, and if any of these guys have something for him. Johnny Eckert, like you said, has won a lot of races, but he's got Tristan to the leading the outside lane. Here we go again, bud, and that's another great start by the 32. 75 spins his tires behind him.
Green flag waving. Yes, you are right. Another great start for Shane Ewing. Not as good. Maher was able to get clear for 2nd place into turn 1. That's not going to help the 32. And you see, got a little bit tight out of turn 2. Oh no, take the high line, Shane. Block him. Maher goes to the outside lane. Shane Ewing to the inside. Tries to muscle it up. Oh, he drove up into Maher. They stay straight though, but look who gets through. It's Johnny Eckert taking the white flag. 1 lap to go, and there's going to be absolute madness back here. Let's put the camera on it. Oh, Ewing into the infield wall. Dumas goes around. We stay green.
I saw Philip sneak through there. I saw Bill Edwards sneak into 2nd place. We're going to have to figure this all out, what the running order is. Incredible.
Johnny Eckert through 3 and 4. He led that last lap. His 2nd lap led in this race will be the final lap. Johnny Eckert picks up his 4th win of the season in a wild one at Darlington.
Wild is an understatement. What a calm race till we get in the 90s as far as lap goes. And Johnny Eckert, who's no stranger to winning races here in the Total Nonstop Racing League, feels pretty lucky, I think, after winning this one. Knows a couple things had to go his way, but go his way they certainly did. And the number 90 is headed to victory lane. But shout out to Bill Edwards coming home in 2nd, getting through that. And Philip Scott getting back to 3rd place and salvaging the points day. That is incredible. Good job by all those guys.
I mean, one caution changes the entire complexion of the race. We were sitting up here thinking Tristan Maher was just going to cruise away to a 6-second win. And then with 2 laps to go, the caution comes out and just mayhem breaks out. Shane Ewing, for all his efforts, ends up with a 9th place finish. Ended up in a wreck. But Johnny Eckert, I wish we had the data on where he was when that first caution came out. Because he just put himself in the right position. Let's go back to this restart. Take a look at it. Because there was so much that went on. Just in 2 laps on this restart. Let's go back here. Do I have it? Yes, I do. So the first thing is the 75 of Sweeting really spun his tires, got checked up, so he slides back. That is how Bill Edwards gets through into what was 4th position at the time. Then you've got the madness back here. Let's go to a bigger camera. You got Bob and Doze back there in the pack. They're running. Then here up at the front of the field, Shane did his best, but those older tires just slid up a little bit. That's how Eckert gets through. He wins. Now here they're 4 wide down the front straightaway. Little contact between the 97-17. Oh, J.D. Laird got absolutely destroyed. And then Dumas wrecks, Ewing wrecks into the wall. Some other drivers caught up and won up there. But then pretty much to the end, you've got some good battles back here. Let's see what Bob Giaquinto was up to. Oh, he kind of pulled off there. But Garrett, that was just a fantastic finish. Couldn't have asked for more. This guy, though, Tristan Maher, your heart's got to go out to him. He had this race won, had the dominant car, and he's going to end up 6th place here tonight. Oh, Doze with a little bit of a nice finish for us here tonight. Roll over, barrel roll. That's more like Talladega.
Yeah, that's it's quite the roll there by Doze. I think he's had enough of this place. He's a guy that I've seen run well here in the trucks, but just not someone that was in contention. But like you said, our heart breaks for Tristan Maher. The bad luck thuggy came back into play tonight. I mean, he couldn't have done any more to put himself in a position to win this race, and just got really, really unlucky with the timing in that late yellow between Floppy and Lorello, which I still don't know what went on. I'm sure the Discord will be a buzz after the race, and we'll figure this all out. But I think we have interviews to do.
Yep, we're getting some post-race interviews lined up here. And there's a lot to sort through here in the closing laps of this race. So your top 3 tonight, I don't think I've actually said it. Johnny Eckert wins the race, Bill Edwards 2nd, and Philip Scott is 3rd, which means we kick off the post-race show tonight talking to the one and only the Ninja, Philip Scott. Philip, it's Mitchell and Garrett in the WRN broadcast booth. You got a copy?
Yeah. Yeah.
Philip, you had maybe the most interesting overtime of anyone else. You were up there in the lead, get caught up in the wreck on the first one, and then we look at the scoring, and all of a sudden you're back in 3rd. Take us through it.
Well, you know, I'm still a little bummed because I was totally fine just cruising to 4th ahead of all the other playoff guys. But yeah, the yellow came out. I'm like, oh man, I knew it was gonna be crazy. I didn't realize that Gracias in front of me took 2 tires, and he kind of like spun his tires. So then I got way too much of a run. Someone took the high line on him, and I went low. I mean, it's 2 to go. You're not gonna lift, and I just got a little squirrely. I think I must have just barely not cleared it. I have no idea exactly what happened, but I tried to not damage the car too much as I was bouncing off the walls. And I was down like 25 RPM. I couldn't. I know I was trying to pass the 97 on the last Greenwich record 2 to go, and I just, even though I had a massive run, I just had no top end. And then then I saw 32 and 17 net coded, and then all of a sudden everyone stacked up, and then they got together in front of me, and I'm not sure how I avoided it. I just kind of half expected it when I saw like the slightest bit of a checkup, and I'm just like, all right, I'm gonna back up a bit, and then just full throttle pretty much through it, and I looked and I was in third, so I'll take it.
Certainly, the third place run, you've got to be happy with it, all things considered here, especially. And tonight,
Yeah,
oh, I was just going to say, tonight, I mean, it was just so quiet and it was so peaceful. And it was like, oh, there goes Tristan. He's going to win the race, 6-second lead. Oh, here's a good battle between Jason and Philip. And then the caution comes out. It was just incredible. How do you process that as a driver down on the track, the complete change in aggression level?
I was just I was a bit bummed out, but I was just hoping everybody else was gonna take tires, and thankfully pretty much everyone did besides the 32, but the 32 was on like only like 5 or 6 lap old, or no, I think more like 20 lap old tires, but he was on newer tires than the rest of us, so I get why he stayed out. So I had a bit of track, still had kind of the same track position, but I knew it was going to be a little crazy because you wheel spin so easy on these restarts, and so when there's a tiny bit of a checkup, everybody just goes wiggling everywhere. But yeah, I'll take it. I was very surprised. I was the points leader after last week, and I think I might still have it. I'm not quite sure. But we'll see. And I'm definitely definitely in this for the championship, that's for sure. I 2 more races to go. If I'm the leader, I'm gonna do everything it takes.
Yeah, I was going to say, you were the points leader coming into tonight. You had an 8-point lead over Bill. I think you will hold that. We'll see how things all shake out in the end, but I believe you will hold the points lead over Bill Edwards. How much is that going to weigh in your mind? Weighing, oh, I want to go win the race, or, oh, no, maybe I shouldn't be so aggressive. I got a points championship to race.
Yeah, it depends on the drivers I'm around, because my thought process, I didn't want to fight too hard with like Thuggy and Jason and Chuck, because they're not in the playoffs. So I kind of just was doing the same thing I was doing last week, and just kind of being smart about who I was racing against. And yeah, so I do think it definitely changed it today. Well, how I think about it. Next week probably the same, but Bristol's a good track for me, so I'm definitely going to go for the win.
Bristol also a track that it can be calm, and then just like tonight, everything just completely shifts, and we've got a very aggressive race. What do you expect the feeling next week at Bristol to be like, being the penultimate race of the championship?
I mean, it'll probably be a little more aggressive than normal, but I think that it ultimately depends on the field size, and also it was just kind of, this group of guys are usually like super clean. It was just the fact that it was just a really hectic restart, people on different tires and everything. So, but ultimately, I could totally see some pretty long green flag runs next week. That's usually how our league goes. So
I think one thing's for sure, you guys will find a way to put on a great race for us, just like tonight. Before we let you go, Philip, we'll give you a chance to shout out any sponsors or anybody watching you'd like to.
yeah, of course, shout out to World Ninja League. Checks out. I actually, and shout out to Jeff Burton, who I based my throwback scheme off of. I I slapped it together in like 30 minutes, but I thought it turned out pretty good. I based it off because it's 25 years ago, so and the theme was 90s, so I did the 1998 Xide Jeff Burton car as my throwback, and I obviously tried to fit my own sponsor kind of in it. I thought it looked pretty cool, and yeah, of course it's 99, so I have to go with Roush.
Yeah, definitely. It was a great looking car. You came pretty close to winning the fan vote tonight, just one vote short. But still, Philip, third place. Great points night for you. Great run here tonight. Congratulations on that, and looking forward to seeing what you can do at Bristol next week.
For sure. Thanks, man.
That was Philip Scott, your third place finisher here tonight. Garrett Gleason went and caught up with the man who we didn't see much of him, and then all of a sudden he was in second place, Bill Edwards.
Well, Mitchell, I don't know if you ever visited somebody in prison, but that's how I'm conducting this interview and with Bill, where we have glass dividing us and I'm chained to the desk. But, Bill, I demand answers. How did you finish second tonight?
Well, hold on. Let me pick up my corded phone.
Mitchell's like, what's a corded phone? I've never seen one.
Your guess is as good as mine. I don't. There's like 3 to go, and I think I was in like 8th or 10th or something, and I had already decided that was probably where I was finishing. So, no greens, we were running, or no yellows, we were running all green laps. I qualified horrible, and it was my second lap. I just kissed the wall with the rear end of my car, so it invalidated it. Didn't have a great race. I got loose coming through one of the turns there, and I think I was sideways through the whole turn and then sideways down the whole backstretch. It felt like the longest 30 seconds of my life, but I saved it somehow. And then I figured with no yellows and nothing happened, I was like, well, this is probably where I'm at. I mean, I passed a couple people, but it was not going to be a stellar day for me, that's for sure. But the yellows kind of saved me.
Well, you're one person that's happy about the yellows. I don't think there are too many people too thrilled about some of them, but you'll certainly take it. A great point, stay fish at second. Just want to talk about track conditions up there. What were you experiencing as a driver? Like, what were the conditions were you fighting? Like, how were guys racing out there? Give me just a brief synopsis of what was going on.
No, I mean, it felt like Darlington to me is extremely loose on cold tires, a little bit looser than I remember. And then through the, once you get 3 or 4 laps on the tires, they seem to get sticky and you could drive it. I think I was overdriving a little bit. I know I was overdriving a little bit because I wasn't as fast as some of the guys, so I was pushing. I got a little bit tight on the long runs, but yeah, I mean, it not great, but I mean, it felt like Darlington. Darlington's not an easy track. It's a driver's track. It's, you got to work the wheel, you got to work the throttle. If you don't, you're going to be in trouble. So, felt like Darlington to me. I felt off, but the track felt normal to me.
Well, no need to explain any further, Bill. I think we all believe that you're a little off.
A little bit, just
yeah.
A little bit.
I'm obviously the president of your fan club as of last week, and I gave myself that title, so you can't take it away from me. But
nice.
I'm going to let you have the floor here. Just give a quick thought on Bristol, and then give your shout outs and thank your sponsors and your family that I know watch every single week, and we certainly appreciate them.
Yeah, I like Bristol. Hopefully I have a stronger run. I mean, this race here was kind of like the storm and the thunder was there, and then at the end, everybody wrecked and the clouds cleared, and I just had a straight shot all the way to finish. I'll take it next week, but I'd rather look a little bit better and have a little bit stronger run next week. So Bristol is one of my favorite tracks, so we'll see what we got. Gotta give a shout out to TNR, S2R. James didn't have the night he wanted, but give a shout out here to let's see, Dunay Jewelers. Who's the Darlington sponsor this week, Garrett?
Yeah, the Tabletop Trio and the Boston Hot Sauce.
Oh yeah, Boston Hot Sauce. That's the one. Yep. Gotta give a shout out to them. Give a shout out to you guys up in booth. WRN. Mitchell does a great job. Mitchell.
Just Mitchell. Yeah, just Mitchell. We got it.
Oh, gee, thanks. It's a lot of work. My back's tired. No, I'm kidding.
Oh yeah, and all these drivers out here to make it such a blast. I mean, we almost went no yellows at Darlington, which is shocking. So everybody did a great job.
Absolutely, and a great job on second place. So I'll let you call it a day, and I think I'll be able to toss it to my broadcast partner, Mitchell Adams. So as he gets down to Johnny Eckert in victory lane. If Johnny Eckert's still celebrating, some of those interviews ran long, Mitchell. I hope we're not on a time constraint.
Oh, they let the good thing about controlling the airwaves is that we have all the time we want. But Johnny Eckert, we did not see too much of you up at the front. You were battling it up in the top 5, and then we get the caution with 2 laps to go, and then all of a sudden, here you are in the race lead, and you pick up your 4th win of the season, man. What a night for you.
Yeah, well, first off, it started in great form in practice. Couldn't figure out why I was so slow. I just couldn't figure it out, and I don't know. It was something about the setup, and I just didn't jive. And then I got to qualifying. Finally, at the end of practice, got a good lap in. Qualifying, I put down a good lap, got a decent starting spot, and then from there it was just kind of survive. I had a couple hits that hurt me pretty bad. And surviving just to get, I think I finished 3rd in the stage was really important. But um, looking, looking after that, after the stage, the rest of the race, I was just trying to do my best to get as high a finish as I could. And at the time the caution was thrown, I was not happy about it. I was ready for it to be over, but that pit stop, the leaders all took, one guy stayed out, the leaders all took 2 tires. I mean, it really was just on a platter for either myself or Philip Scott. It really depended on who was going to get through that first restart the best, and thankfully my line moved
You kind of answered.
in the race, and it was just I didn't think it was going to have anything in it to really compete, especially on the short run, because I didn't really have it on the short run to begin with. So I just kind of thought my race was thrown at that point.
Well, we're watching your car go around here on the slow-mo here. Tell us about your throwback paint scheme here tonight you were rocking.
Yeah, so a while back, in another league, a long time ago, I believe I was one of a few cars that ran that ran schemes from the different branches of the military, and shortly thereafter, I thought to myself, maybe the Air Force Thunderbirds. I'm a big fan of the Blue Angels and the Thunderbirds, and I just love the air shows and stuff. So I decided to make a paint scheme around the Thunderbirds. And that scheme has been on a few different cars over the years, but this specific car was in a league that I ran last year, sponsored by another league, another league that I wasn't running in that league. So it's a little bit of leagueception there, but so I had good success with it. It was a fun car, and it has memorialized on the behind the numbers on either side. I don't remember the exact number, but it has all of the Thunderbirds airmen that passed away in the line of duty while being active service Thunderbird pilots. So um, yeah, so it's kind of like it's a mix of like memorial to all of them, as well as tribute to like the Thunderbirds themselves and their cool, tough looking red, blue, and white, red, white, and blue. I guess would have been better said, but paint scheme.
That's a great story to go along with that one. Very glad to see you park it in victory lane here tonight. Looking at the playoff standings, which have been very quickly updated for me here tonight, get to talk about it before we go off the air. You jumped up 6 positions in the playoff points. You are now 25 points back from Philip Scott. With 2 races left, we go to Bristol next week. What do you think your chances are to put up another great run at Bristol, and how do you feel about your shot at taking home the 2023 championship?
Well, I pretty much determined in my mind at least, and I'm ever the optimist about everything, especially in practice today, about how well this race is going to go for me. um, in my mind, just wrecking, getting loose and having that accident last week, I thought my championship was over. I mean, it's still a long shot. I mean, I think the only chance I really have at competing for it is if Philip has a bad day and somehow I get through what I'm expecting is going to be some sort of carnage. If the end of today's race is anything to go by, um, if I can survive the carnage and maybe Philip has a bad day, that would probably be my only real chance at it. I think. Bill too, but I got a little bit more wiggle room when it comes to him. So, 25 points back's a lot. I just kind of gotta, I think it's kind of out of my control at this point, but we'll see what happens. Hopefully, a little bit of luck, maybe we'll be in a good spot for it. But I don't know. I won't know until we take the green next week.
We are definitely excited to see what you can do at Bristol next week. Before we let you go continue celebrating tonight, I will turn the floor over to you and give all the shout outs you would like to.
Well, first off, thank you guys for putting on the broadcast. Thanks to the league and all their admins for all that they do. Gotta really gotta thank Jake, my teammates Jake Bustos and DJ Weeks for putting up with my nonsense again this week, because after last week's wreck, I promise you that it was very lively in the chat between myself and Jake, but in the channel between myself and Jake, and this week we in practice we kind of poked at each other a little bit, but we I couldn't have done it without them, just alone for letting me vent a little bit about my frustrations with how my night was going. But I gotta thank them for all they do even throughout the race. I mean, I couldn't have done it without them. And yeah, thanks for a little bit of airtime for Ursa, who I actually have to run to here in a bit because I'm race control over there. So I think their race started a little while ago. I'm a little late, but yeah,
It was worth it.
Yeah, absolutely worth it. I'm happy to take a win of the track that I'm very hit or miss with. So, especially after last week. And I just gotta, let me just throw that in too. Apologize to everybody who was involved in that last week. I got loose on the restart, and I pushed it a little bit harder than I probably should have. So yeah, looking forward to the rest of the season. Maybe I'll get a little bit lucky, I don't know, but at this point I'm just happy with what I've done this season.
We definitely won't keep you any longer away from your other obligations here, but Johnny, congratulations on quite the race here tonight. A great race win for you, and again, looking forward to seeing you at Bristol next week.
Absolutely. Thank you both. Appreciate it.
That was Johnny Williams, tonight's race winner.
Johnny Eckert.
Johnny Eckert, excuse me, not Johnny Williams. See you in the field tonight. He was, but he DNF'd pretty early on in this one. It'd be cool. Hey, Johnny, you got 2 races left, We'll see what, but yes, Johnny Eckert, thank you for correcting me. Garrett is tonight's race winner.
He gave me a heart attack. If Johnny won the race, I'd be having to fly to Mississippi to have a party with him.
Yes, Johnny Eckert wins tonight. I'll get things all situated here again and take you through the finishing order for tonight's race. Again, Johnny Eckert wins tonight's race. The Boston Hot Sauce Festival 155 presented by Tabletop Trio. Second place went to Bill Edwards. Third, Philip Scott. In fourth was Jake Bustos. And in fifth, Chuck Sweeting. Chuck Sweeting for 2 weeks in a row wins the Bridesmaid Challenge with his win last weekend. Tonight, the 5th place finish, good enough to get Sweeting $5. That's pretty good night's work. Tristan Thuggy Maher, who really had this race won were it not for those cautions, he finishes in 6th place. He'll be pretty disappointed with this one. Vincent Valvano, a good run for Vinny in 7th. Also, Steven Doziak in 8th. Shane Ewing came so close but ended up in 9th place. And Jamar Dumas rounds out your top 10. In 11th, DJ Weeks. 12th, JD Laird. Another tough run for JD this week. 13th, the winner of tonight's Tabletop Trio 90s Throwback Paint Scheme contest. It was the Sailor Moon 47 for Mike Floppy Tellier, finishing in 13th position. 14th was Jason Schue, then 1 lap down. Bob Giaquinto in 15th. Jason Gracias 5 laps down in 16th. James Lorello DNF in 17th. Also not finishing the race but starting tonight. Jimbo Casterline in 18th. Stephen Morgan 19th. And Johnny Williams in 20th. Garrett, we are already halfway through the playoffs. We'll talk all about it next week in the pre-race show, but I think what we've seen tonight is with only 4 races in the playoffs, there's such little room for error for all these drivers. You have to be on your game each and every weekend. There were a couple drivers here tonight, I will say, got pretty lucky with how things turned out for them. Others, not so much, but Philip Scott now 11 points in front of Bill Edwards, 20 in front of Johnny Eckert. He's going to be focusing on holding this race lead, or the points lead, excuse me, for the next 2 weeks when we'll crown the champion.
Yeah, great start to the playoffs for Philip Scott, and like you said, luck has something to do with it. But at the end of the year, and I'm working with Jeff White on getting these guys trophies and plaques dating back a couple seasons. But the trophy's not going to say luckiest guy out there; it's going to say champion on it. And to become a Schue Lawn Service Grand National Series champion is a big deal. And I know Philip has his eyes on it, but a lot of these guys put themselves back into contention tonight with some solid runs and some solid luck. To be honest, Mitchell, as we head to Bristol.
Hey, sometimes luck is all you need in motorsports. It takes a lot of skill to put yourself in that position, and then just get a little bit lucky and you could walk away with the championship. But that is going to do it for tonight's broadcast here at Darlington. Again, a big thank you to tonight's race sponsor, the Boston Hot Sauce Festival 150. Presenting sponsor was Tabletop Trio. The links to both of them down in the video description. Give them a look here once we go off the air. Also, big thank you, as always, to Schue Lawn Service, the title sponsor of the series this season, and to Stay Tuned Sports as well. But for all of us at the World Racing Network, myself, Mitchell Adams, my broadcast partner, Garrett Gleason, I want to thank you all for tuning in tonight, and we look forward to seeing you at Bristol next week, same time, same place, for the penultimate race of the season. Until then, we hope you stay safe, have fun, and we'll see you next time.